So one of the things that I really stressed yesterday was we're talking about a lot of different aspects of footwork. But what aspect of footwork is applicable to you? What aspect of footwork do you really need to focus on? Maybe some of you have the wrong positioning. Maybe some of you have the wrong balance. Maybe some of you have the wrong technique for how to move. Maybe some of you know all the things, but you're just not forcing yourself to move. Maybe some of you are good with the short distance footwork, but you're not good with the long distance footwork, and your style requires you to do the long distance. So for each of you individually, you're going to have different needs. So we're working on a lot of different general topics for footwork, but with your note taking, I want you to write specific needs that you have. So last night when you guys did some matches, I asked you, write down 2 main things that you want to focus on during these matches. Okay? So I know it's kind of difficult because you're thinking, well, you talked about a lot of different things. What 2 things should I pick? I mean, I can think of 20 things that we talked about. Which 2 are good for me? I thought I would kind of take a minute and just kind of run through some goals as far as with your footwork. What might be some goals that you could make for yourself? And maybe as you hear one of these things, you're like, yep, that's it. That's the one that I need to write down, and then you write that one down. So one of the things that we talked about is keeping the racket in front. So maybe from your recreational ping pong days, you used to hit the ball and bring your paddle back. Hit the ball and bring the paddle back. I'm sure all of you guys have seen that. Boom, boom. It's almost as if they're afraid somebody's going to steal their paddle, okay? But the thing is, for professional players, they have to learn to keep the hand in front. If your hand is in front like this, after you hit, you can defend or you can attack. The main complaint people say is, well, if I keep my hand in front, I don't have time to bring my hand all the way back. You still have time, but you're going to have to do a shorter swing if the ball comes faster. If the ball comes slower, then you do have time to take a bigger swing. So that's one theme that maybe you could have, would be keep the racket in front. Another theme that you could possibly have for your game would be leaning forward more. And keeping the racket in front and leaning forward are actually closely related, because as you learn to keep your racket in front better, it does shift the weight forward, so you're leaning forward. Many of you, what I saw yesterday is that you start off leaning forward, but then as the rally progresses, you tend to stand up more and more. Yeah, it could be like that, but during the rally, he still does a reasonable amount of leaning forward. I mean, I'm not seeing him leaning back and looking up at the ceiling, okay? So what would you say would be the main cause of that? Any guesses? Why is it that by the 7th or 8th hit, most of you guys are standing up quite tall? What do you think?
Fatigue.
Okay, it could be fatigue. That's one of the things. Any other possible reasons?
Loss of focus.
Loss of focus, good. Good, what else? What?
Balance.
Balance, yeah. Typically, as you lose balance, then you tend to go back. But one thing is, as the rally begins, it usually progressively gets faster. Unless you're playing somebody maybe like Justin, that's a chopper, or potentially Brian, who has long pips. You know, usually the rally gets progressively faster, and most people still try to take the same swing. So if the first ball is slow and I take the full swing, and then the second ball comes faster, and I try to take the same big swing and I hit it later, naturally I go up more. Same thing on backhand. If I take the full swing on backhand and the ball is slow, maybe I can continue taking the full swing. But as the rally gets progressively faster, if I take the big swing, now I'm late, and that tends to make me rock back or lean back. So if the rally does get progressively faster, oftentimes your stroke in turn has to become shorter. Or what many players did 30 or 40 years ago is as they would hit the ball and the ball would get faster, they would continue to go back further and further and further. Now you see almost all the modern players, especially the Asian players, are really able to shorten their swings, stay close, and attempt to force the other guy off the table. So that might be another theme for you, is leaning forward. I need to learn to lean forward even in the